My name is and I want to go over what I've been working on. I enjoy this project mainly because Go compiles really quickly, almost no matter how big the code base is. So I can just keep adding onto it, and I don't have to change very much because Go doesn't change very much, which is great. So I could keep working on this project month after month after month after year after year after year, which is great. It's fun, it's relaxing, I enjoy it, and I hope other people do as well. So what am I working on? It's sort of a file code generating system that originally I wanted to not deal as much with NPM, but you need files, you need pages, you need content, so it ventured into CMS, but it was really meant to be something that you can just add your own code to and not really worry about and push off to the side while you build whatever it is you're building, and then if you need to bring it back in, you can. So the whole point is to uncouple things. What do I mean by that? And it's still a big work in progress, so there's a lot of stuff that I'm changing that may not work, and I'm just, I'm learning as I'm going. So it's not a production ready thing. Anyways, so this is basically it. And what we have here is the name of the pages or URLs or whatever. This is the URL. You can delete it. These are the libraries. You can add a page here. So if you wanted to do test one, boom, there's test one. And you can add your own JavaScript to these files. This is more of, or CSS, this is more of a way to add it to the database so that when you do need to add it to a specific file, you can just go here and add whatever it is you want to add, and it does it by tag. And then also by header would be CSS, footer would be JavaScript is the usual. So how does it separate itself from, being something you don't have to deal with? Well, basically you have this app that is, I gotta generate it first. So you go to generate the config, boom, there's a config, there's some stuff about the application. You do generate server, boom, there's the app, it generates an Echo server. I use Echo just because it's a lot easier, it has a lot of stuff, middleware built into it and everything, but it doesn't generic it too far away from not knowing what's going on. It kind of keeps it to the Go level, but still adds in a lot of features. I made a video before on Echo, actually a few. So yeah, it does that. And then you can generate the database for the app, and you have to hit reload so that it pulls down all the dependencies and everything. I only did this because I have certain functions that just run the app, and I don't want to pull down everything every time you want to run something. So once it pulls everything down, when you hit reload, you pretty much don't need to hit that again unless you're adding a whole bunch of dependencies to it or whatever. It has a template folder, has some files in it, and when you go here, let's say you add, a new page. Boom, new page. Now, if you hit this, it ain't gonna work because you didn't start the application yet. These are empty. Just hit start. Your Windows firewall should be like, whoa, you're starting an application. Hit observe again. Boom, there's your PID, parent PID, their process identification numbers. It's basically so that my program knows when you hit stop, it actually knows what to stop, because there's a lot to that apparently. So let's say you want to add a library to this page, because if you hit this page, there's not a whole lot going on there. So you want to add jQuery. jQuery, the tag will be JQY, sure. Now that just added it to the database. You want to actually go to here, pick your page, do submit, and boom, there it is. If you actually go into your file, there, it added jQuery. This you want to keep because that's sort of how it knows where to add stuff. Because it keeps adding things, replacing it, but then also adding another below it so that it knows what to do, sort of. It already has the header, which you can add scripts to and CSS to, so all you have to do is work on the body. Or you could add the script to the footer and just not have this involved, which you can do as well. Let's say you wanted to add some stuff. Does this work? Now right off the bat, this ain't gonna show what you're working on. You can't just hit refresh and do it. But I do have a file watcher. And that's mainly because you have to restart the server or stop the server, restart it. I made a video on how to build your own. So you can use it, you cannot use it, you can build your own, whatever. But you see how it's looking for the path and everything. And it shows the file size of the folder. And basically it's just checking for the file size so that when you go to add stuff, all of a sudden it knows you did something. And you can change the time at which it looks. It doesn't have to be every couple seconds, but there it is. Yeah, and see how it shows what the threads are, parent ID, the size, even has your memory of both applications. What you can do is, let's say you don't want all this stuff running, and the reason why I did it through the server was because it can be cross-platform, but also because you can run it on a droplet or whatever on some other server, and it'll be run like a server on its own. But what you can do, stop the application, go here, hey, it's still going. Go here though, all of a sudden it's like, slows down, doesn't know what to do. You restart it back up, which would be a binary or whatever it is you want to be in this case, it doesn't really matter. I'll link the repo down below. You go back, there it is. Observe, there's a process. Let's say we want to stop it. Stopped. Go back, shouldn't work. So you can take this dashboard thing, delete it, leave the website. Want to come back in another week and work on it, rerun the dashboard, have it reconnect, and not have to worry about things. It's nice. Basically the reason why I did this was I didn't want to do NPM that much, because I mean those frameworks and everything are nice, but it just gets in the way. So I just didn't want to do with it. And this is my way of generating and automating a lot of that. So I just don't have to deal with it. I don't have to have a folder full of a whole bunch of stuff, except for maybe the vendor dependencies that I'm pulling in, but you don't touch that anyways ever. And you can add to this project and everything because it does the referential integrity. And I just made a video on exactly what that is, and that's just it basically scans, basically looks for the URLs from the database, grabs them all, then it strips the slash off the URLs, goes into the directory, which is this, apps, templates, and calls this function, which then checks whether or not that file is actually in here, and if it's not, checks if it's false, deletes it from the database. So you don't really have to worry about that quite as much either. How did I generate a whole bunch of stuff? I made some videos on generating code, but the main thing you're gonna look for if you do download this project and want to edit it or do whatever you want with your own stuff with it is you want to go to dashboard, and then close all this. Go to handler, and go to home. Basically, that's all it is a handler, which is most of the application. It just does one handle, and then does a switch case, checks for the first parameter of whatever's going on, like observe or show. And if it, we go into the routes. Yeah, it's just name routes. That's all it is. It's not a real complicated program. And this is basically the URL parameter that it borrows from. And from there, if it shows up to be one of these as the first parameter, run that function. What is that function? Just go to it, and this starts the app. Why? Because it's production. And then it runs a bash thing in order to run the app, and boom, opens up the browser window if you want to. I have quite a bit of functions that if you want to use them or do whatever, you can. Check if it exists, get proc data, log the signal of the processes, which I don't use, but you could if you want to get that intricate with it. Get the process info for all the memory stuff and all the processes that run on Windows. Really easy, one function. Well, a couple, because you get in the process ID and stuff, but generally speaking, each one of those buttons just sets off one of these first parameters, and that first parameter then has a function, and that function then just does stuff. It might have some utility methods behind it, but I think I named them pretty well that you can figure it out, and Go is easy to read. So yeah, and this again is your actual application that you generate. The dashboard is the dashboard application. DB is your database, which I use SQLite, but I use the Go wrapper version, which I actually heard Brad Fitzpatrick's tail scale version of SQLite is supposed to scale with more processors. Gotta try it out at some point in time. It's pretty neat. Extra is just the screenshots I use for the wiki. You don't need that. Static again is just for that little guy. That's it. That's the whole application. Basically, oh yeah, generator. What do you think that does? It generates code. How does it do that? Well, go to home. Go to let's say config. And so this is under UT for utility, and this creates the config folder, which is the config folder, and then reads or writes the text to your YAML file, which is just this. That's it. Oh no, I should say this. I should say this is what actually does the writing. Execute the template. This just creates the file itself in the folder. Yeah, and then this actually generates it. And that's what create config does only. You can add to it and you can do whatever you want with it. Create server. How did I create this app folder with all these files? Well, I have it read the config file, which you don't necessarily have to have. You can just hard code it if you wanted. Sure. And then I do create server, and runs those same kind of functions to create the folders, the template, whatever it is, the database folder, and then creates the files in those folders, which is all these. and then all those generate commands. The only thing that's tricky is this stuff, and it's only because when you want to have the templates folder like this have template header, template footer. You can't just write that as is. You need this and this in there in order to have. Well, the brackets work fine on their own. It's when you do this with define, it just doesn't parse it right. It doesn't like it. So you got to add this with sprintf. I don't know why, but you do. And then I throw it into a map, and then I send that map into the template. Well, where are the templates? Go to the folder templates under generator. And you go to, what is this one? Header. Let's go to the header one. Oop. Runs this file. Doesn't have to be in a separate folder, but whatever. That's just the way I did it. Yeah, and then once it generates the folders, files, and writes the code to them for all the templating stuff, runs the app, does go mod init and all that stuff inside of that folder, and then pulls down the dependencies and everything, closes all the files, which is extremely important. Don't not forget, and don't do defer. It just won't do it then. I don't exactly know why, but it just won't. So you need to close these right away after you create the folders, files, and write the text to them. The rest of these, I don't even really use that much. They're just trimming characters. Yeah, that's pretty much anything with UT is basically utility, so it's just a bunch of functions. I think I named them relatively well so that you can do whatever you want with them. Yeah, I think server is like the main file, but it's just put inside dashboard. And it doesn't totally matter. It's just something I did. I don't know. I just kept it so that I can just work in this dashboard folder. I don't have to come out here for a bunch of stuff. There's just handler util, which the home file kind of uses for the observe and, basically some of these functions. I do got to do something about this UT file thing and the handler util. I'm crossing a little bit. Don't exactly know how that happened, but whatever. I'll eventually deal with that. Yeah. That's what I've been working on, and it's a lot of fun. It's really easy to have a mental model of. As you can see, there's no big make files or generic whatever another. I don't mean generics, and then the new generic. I mean abstractions upon abstractions upon abstractions. Yeah, it's using Echo, which I don't even totally really need. I just did that to shorten this home thing and be able to use the first parameter thing here. Was it really shortened out the code for that as well? You can do it in Go, and I did before, but well, I'm also using a bunch of middleware stuff to make things more safe, and eventually I'll use Echo for the JWT so that I can generate the JWT stuff inside here for your application, because nobody likes to deal with that stuff, so whatever. And yeah, that's what I've been working on almost every day, right? Every other day. I only push once in a while because stuff breaks so much because I'm changing it so much, but I only push it when it works, generally speaking. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You have your handler folder. It has a put folder so that when you put stuff in the database, that's what that handler is used for. If you really need to know what the heck is going on, just go to routes, And for creating stuff, so to speak, you just go here and go to that handler, which is letter put, and that's basically what it does. You know, it's not really some super deep, complicated thing or something where you can't handle it. It's CSS lib. I mean, that's, I don't know. Yeah. If you have any questions or anything, let me know, and yeah, do whatever you want with this. It's so much fun that I could work on forever. It'll never slow down, or the build process will never slow down, and it'll never change the code, so I don't have to worry about a bunch of dependencies changing on me and stuff. I think the only main dependencies I actually have, or direct ones, are these, and this is because of Echo. This is Viper for doing the config stuff, which I might take away. Is kind of, is it really that neat? I mean, well, it allows the user to do stuff, but I could put that into an input box too, right? So, and then this is kind of, I think, part of Go, or maybe it's some package that's off, but it's for Windows processes. It's part of Golang.org, so I don't know. And then database. So really, my only dependencies that I really have to have or care about is Echo. The rest of this, I don't need. This is part of Go, and, well, database. So, and then, yeah, all the dependencies, these dependencies pull in, which I'm guessing if I get rid of Viper, it'll probably pull out a lot of these SPF ones. I don't know. Someday when I'm feeling really into it, I'll try to take off some of these, except for probably the database and the Windows one. These three can be done pretty easily. But yeah. Let me know if you need anything or if you have any questions. Okay? I'll leave the link to the repo in the video. Okay, thank you.